Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody. Welcome back to another stream where we're going to be doing some design review. It's literally just started raining, so if you can hear rain coming in on the mic, apologies. It is beyond me. You're going to have to take it up with Mother Nature or God or whoever controls the rain because, you know, it's out of my hands. But that being said, we've got some pretty... Yeah, it's getting really loud now. That's going to really irritate me. Oh, we've got some really cool stuff today. I know I say that every week, and that is because it is really cool. My goodness, you must be able to hear that. Okay, let me know. Is that really, really distracting? Can you still hear me? If it's fine, I'll keep going. Otherwise, I'll have to go outside and just yell at the sky and hope something changes. But yeah, I know I always say we've got some good stuff to review, and that's just because you guys keep submitting awesome work. So thank you for that. And we've got a bit of logos today. We've got some photo manipulation stuff. Yeah, some really cool bits and bobs. Hello to everyone in the chat. We've got, who have we got? We've got Sema, Alok Misra. Hello, hello. Graphic Up, Mr. Mike Phelps, MP. Excellent. Hello, sir. Thank you for coming back. The Archaic Way. Raouf, Chatty, Popinder, our lovely moderator is here. Hello. Husem. Who else we got? We got Reese. Rain, just creating a vibe. Exactly. Mike says, meh, it's soothing. Oh, Mike, I think you've become, you've joined the channel, it looks like. Oh, thank you very much. That's amazing. Phil K, hi Dan, glad to be here this week. Sadly couldn't make the last couple. I've sent you a boat that took me ages to do, and hopefully you can help me with ideas to finish. Bit stuck. Was that sent? Oh, it stopped for a moment. It's okay. We've got like 5 minutes before it starts again. Was that email you sent that, or was that uploaded and submitted the usual way? ASMR graphic design vibe. Exactly. Hello, Tome. Thank you for coming back. I'm trying to remember as many names as I can. We can hear you good. Fantastic. Oh, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to go through a bunch of designs this week. I'm going to throw a link now. Where is it? There you are. I'm going to throw this link into the chat. I will post this again later on. This is the last chance to submit work for review for like the next 2 or 3 weeks, I think. Just because there's so many people that have submitted work and I just haven't got time to get to it all. So I think what we're going to do is do a pause on submissions for a couple of weeks, and then I'll just be able to grab loads of other designs that haven't had their time in the spotlight, under the microscope, so to speak. And yeah, I'll get to review a few more of those, catch up a bit on the old backlog, and then open it up again for more submissions. So hopefully that sounds good. So there is the link if you'd like to submit your work for next week. I've got my coffee here. You have 846,000 subscribers. Yes, I do. It's honestly mind-blowing. I still wake up every day and can't quite believe it's real. But here we are. I get to teach for a living, so, you know, I get to do something I love and hang out with you guys doing streams like this. So it's all good. It's all good. Right, first up. I'm kind of hoping the audio plays on this one, so let me know if it doesn't, but it's actually a video. And where's it gone? I've lost it. Great. It's a great start, Dan. I literally just had it up. Where are you? There you are. Come back. You ever get that when you're using the mouse and your finger just slips and you click something and it just takes you... Oh, just no. Right. Okay, so let me know if the audio plays for this. It's really, really cool. In fact, let's throw this up full screen. 28 Studio. I absolutely love that. I don't know about you, and hopefully you heard the audio there. I freaking love that. That is so cool. Let's go through that frame by frame. In fact, let's watch it once more and we'll go through it frame by frame. Yeah, I love that. That's cool. And I find doing this sort of stuff quite tricky because, you know, my background isn't video editing and motion graphics. So I can do stuff like this, but it takes me so long. I obsess over everything way too much. So there's like a glitch effect there. Then we've got this sort of texture coming in. Sort of stop motion. Ultra glitch there. And we've got these other textures appearing in the background. Just loads of quick cuts, all sorts of weird and wonderful shapes. A bunch of spheres that morph into a person. Falling, and then the text comes in. Look at all this. It happens so fast though, that the way it comes together, and the use of sound effects as well. This design without the sound effects just would be nowhere near as impactful. And I love that kind of that swoosh on the 8 there. It draws the letter 8, and then that last little glitch at the end. Ha! This happens so fast, but it's so good. Love that. Yeah, I don't really have any specific feedback. That's kind of beyond what I normally do, to be honest. I just think feedback, it looks awesome. Love it. Really cool. Right. Okay, design stuff. First up, we've got a beer. Elizabeth, I didn't hear anything, but that animation is cool. Oh, maybe the sound didn't come through then. Ah, that's annoying. It's not really music per se, it's kind of more sound effects, glitchy sound effects and things, so kind of use your imagination there. Okay, this is for Heineken. I'm guessing this is some photo manipulation magic here. So we've got a lovely Heineken bottle, obviously cut out. We've got the light coming in from the left, so the right side is a little bit darker. Adds a bit more drama. And then we've got lots of presents. Presumably this is a Christmas Heineken. Lots of presents added. Again, the lighting is coming from the left, so that's nice and consistent. I think it would have been nice to have some of them in red, like all the bows in red. Do you know what I mean? Like pull some of the red from the kind of the logo itself. But we got some yellow for the baubles. This one's got a bit of blur here. It looks kind of like motion blur actually, as if the ball is kind of rolling across the floor. We've got these nice sort of shadows that go in the right direction based on the light which is coming from the left. Yeah, this is really, really tight. Really cool. I think these bows here, they could possibly do with a bit of shadowing there. I know that's going to take a while. They're probably quite similar, so you could probably copy and paste the shadowing, or you know, the actual present itself, but just kind of down here you can see these little bits here. You would have a lot more shadows there, and it would take a while, but you'd yeah, because this present here looks like, you know, they've put a lot of effort into the lighting and all that, and the shadow is very, very dark over here, and then this kind of bow on top, the ribbon, kind of, it looks like the light is coming from the front almost. So that would be my only thing, but that's like real, you know, just looking at it here, it's kind of, you don't really notice it. I mean, I kind of notice it more now I've pointed it out, but, and I love the star on top as well. Yeah, that's really cool. And you've got the glow on the bottle. Yeah, it's just really, really tight. There's a bit of shadowing behind here, which I don't think would be there, because that would imply the bottle's on a surface, so I'd get rid of any shadow in there and just kind of stick to having the surface shadows. And maybe just mix up the rotation here. Bauble, they look copy and pasted. I know they probably have been, but just rotate it around the other way, or do something to try and make it look different, or even just, if you can, change the pattern or use a different one, just to kind of randomize it a bit more. Like this one here. Yeah, that's a different one. A different angle, different bauble. Just kind of makes it look less copy-paste. But yeah, no, I do love it. Yeah, like this, the sack of presents. I kind of get what you're going for with everything just being green, because it does look cool. It kind of blends really nicely. But like the sack, or maybe the ribbon, could have been in red, and that would pull from the logo, and that would just be the icing on the cake. But yeah, that is really, really cool. I like it. Nice space around the sides as well. It's not too cluttered or anything. Yeah, really cool, really cool. I mean, what you could actually do, just as another idea, is you could even shift the logo to the middle and have like some baubles coming down. Go on, Dan. Get the brush tool. Let's do it. Let's go to town. Just have a couple of baubles coming down. You could have one here that's like super out of focus instead of this one. So get rid of that and have this one blurred. Have another one in the background that's quite far away that's blurred. Maybe this one a bit more in focus. And then you can use the baubles kind of hanging down to then really create that depth. And obviously keep the product and that in focus. But yeah, really, really cool. Boom. Sema says, whoever's design this is, it's very realistic and beautiful. Right, we'll whip up the name, but I'm probably going to pronounce it terribly. So apologies in advance. Ayush Manandha. Ayush Manandha. Hopefully that's correct. Yeah, the red star from the logo makes me want a gold star on top to be red as well. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think just that little bit of red will make the sack red or the ribbon red or something. It would just kind of, and the green and red, you know, there's a color combination you don't normally see too often. What is it? Red and green should never be seen or whatever, but it does feel very Christmassy and it would kind of suit that quite well. Max Art, hi Dan, how's it going? It's going great. And one of your designs is up in a minute and it's awesome. Spoiler, I love it. This is probably your best work, at least in my opinion. I think I've done a few bits of your work before in these reviews. And this is your best, in my opinion. I saw it and I was like, whoa, this is cool. And I think if you like Photoshop, photo manipulation, I think you're going to like this one. Right, but before we get to that, we have a logo. And this is really cool. This is quite clever, actually. I really like this one. So, Australian painting. So it's I presume, a painting company in Australia. Very, very clever concept. This is Australia. Presumably, my geography is a bit rusty, but I'm going to guess this is Australia. And we have a paintbrush, and then we have a rainbow. You know, paint comes in lots of different colors. It looks really cool. I think the font, I don't mind the font actually. What do you think to the font? I quite like it. I mean, I'm a sucker for a nice sans serif font anyway. I don't know why I said that really French then. Sans serif. Probably, is it a French word? Serif? Sans serif? I don't know. Well, I'm going to just have to talk in a French accent now. I love this design over here. So, stop it, Dan. Calm down. He does this. He gets a bit excited. Right. So we've got this kind of handle here for the, presumably it's a brush or it's something. Yeah, kind of spreading the paint across. I'm not sure what the correct term is. If it's not a brush, it's something else. No. I know what it looks like. I know what I mean, but I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, it's a painting tool. And yeah, I think there's a couple little things here that, like, I would like them to change. I would like them to change the shape of Australia just ever so slightly, just to kind of suit my own design tastes. So this bit here is a bit kind of thin. Could we just sort of chunk that up a little bit and maybe smooth out some of those curves? Because it feels like a literal trace of Australia to a T. But unfortunately, you end up with some of these kind of weird little flicks here, these little thin bits. Some bits are really jaggedy. So maybe we could tweak it just slightly, just so it has kind of like a slightly smoother edge and round off some of those corners just a little bit. Maybe remove this blob down here. That probably is part of Australia. It's probably like an island or something, I don't know. But maybe we could just get rid of that and it would still be clearly identifiable as Australia. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Elizabeth, please make all future reviews with a French accent from now on. Oui, oui. Yeah, I'm a bit torn on the font because it's like, I know there's my bias in there. Like, I love the font, but does that make it a good kind of pairing for this logo? It's a difficult one. I like the fact that you've got this kind of painting, a piece of apparatus here. I'm just going to call it a brush, whatever it is. You've got the black, it matches the text. This is very clean and very kind of like it's been sort of cut out. Kind of matches the style of the text. I do quite like the texture in the background as well. I know we're seeing this kind of logo not really in context of anything. It's just a logo with a background. But it kind of makes me think of like a wall. You might get some texture on maybe a plasterboard wall or something. So I don't know. I really like it. It catches my eye as well. In fact, I kind of feel like actually the text and the 2 lines of text here probably could come down a bit in size. You know, at the moment they're quite wide. You could probably make that fill this kind of space here. Because it's black and so bold, you could shrink it down and it would still be clearly legible, but it would just kind of balance a little bit more with the with that kind of rainbow mark. I think at the moment it just feels like it's a bit too big, a bit punchy. But yeah, generally I really like it. John Steed. Mr. D, I don't think the Tasmanians will take kindly calling their country a blob. Is that blob down there oh, I've done it again. Is that blob down there a country? I don't know. My geography is a bit rusty, especially when it comes to Australia. That drop would be nice on top of the eye, didn't you think so? Yeah, I mean, if it was going to be there, that would be nice. First thought would be that we'll call it a drop, whatever it is. Tasmania, I don't know. This bit here, if it was above the eye, I don't think it would work because the style of this font is so different. This is very kind of like a very organic shape. This is a very clean, clear-cut font. So I don't think it would look good as an eye. Also, if you're going to do that, you'd have to throw off the central alignment. So I would get rid of it personally and just kind of tidy up some of those little details around the rainbow itself. But yeah, really, really cool. Okay, next. And that was by Daoud Hassan. Alok says a longer handle would work. This looks more like a glass wiper. Where are you from in the UK, Dansky? A little town near Bristol, so southwest England. Okie dokie. Okay, right. So this is by Max Art, and I'm going to try and pronounce your name. Dilshan Kanamge. Dilshan Kamganange. Is that correct? Dilshan Kanamge. Okay, I'm going to go with that. Right, so we've got a before and an after. Let's open this one up first. I'll show you this one first. And this is actually a really good... I like seeing these kind of befores because what he's done is show how everything looks composed, and this is actually a really great way to do photo manipulation and make it a lot better. It's very easy to trip and stumble into adding lots of effects and blending modes and start doing color and all this stuff on a piece of art, and you do all of that before you've actually composed the kind of the basic scene and everything. Okay, Kanamgi. Okay, thank you. Excellent. And I've done that a lot. I have done that a lot, and it's just something I've really kind of had to train out of me. I get a bit excited. I start blending things together, and actually you want to get all your objects and your composition locked in like this, at least 90% of it anyway, so you have a very clear vision. All the effects, blending, like looking at this, obviously there hasn't been any blending or anything yet, the lighting, blah blah blah, but the concept is clear. You can see exactly what's going to go where. You know, he's clearly thought about the composition, and the lighting and that stuff is fine. It's easy to kind of work on the lighting, but if the composition's rubbish and you start just dumping in effects to try and make it look good, just trust me, take it from me, it doesn't work. It's not good. Bristol is awesome. I was there just a few weeks ago. Oh, really? Oh, where are you from? I also visited Dartmoor. I've heard it's very rural there. I think Dartmoor is south, kind of towards Devon. The woman's dress has a crow costume harmony. Oh yeah, it kind of does actually. These sort of like frills look a bit like the wings. Anyway, so this was the before, and then let's go and have a look at the magic that is this piece. I love this. Look at that. Look at that. That is stunning. I love this so much. And I saw this earlier and I just stopped. I didn't want to kind of spoil it. I'd already seen it, but I've not actually zoomed in and looked at anything. So this is kind of like I saw it for about 5 or 10 seconds and was like, I love this. I saw the lighting and was like, oh, those highlights are so good. But now we're going to zoom in and have a little closer look. Oh, it's just magnificent. That is so cool. And Mike Phelps, dang! I know. That's so sick, says Montenegro. That's great, Dilshan. Good work, said Phil. I love the green. It's good, isn't it? I said you guys were going to like it. It's so cool. Right. Oh, yeah, this has put a big smile on my face. Oh, wow. Where do I even start with this? Okay, well, the first thing I love, obviously, I think we can all agree the lighting is excellent. It's very dramatic. The exposure is very, very dark, and the green light, I just love this. The green light here and then coming off the walls. Whatever this enchanting essence might be, it's reflecting onto the subject, and he's gone through, added the kind of highlights around the edge. Done a really good job, actually. I mean, highlights can be very, very difficult. I find them quite tricky sometimes. So we kind of extended them in enough as well. You don't just go around the edge like this. You have to kind of do it realistically, so they kind of taper off certain elements here as the curvature of them moves away from the light, if that makes sense. So you got like these are more pronounced on the edge. This one here is a bit more subtle. Yeah, highlights can be tricky, and there's a few little subtle ones here, really subtle ones. And I appreciate that attention to detail as well. You can see here a few little ones just coming in, especially on the creases. Yeah, that's super cool. I think maybe a few more highlights on the birds, possibly. Kind of, I love this top part of the window with the kind of light sort of glowing through, and you can see there is like a glow up the top. Look at the effort going around and highlighting all those original hairs. That is really, really good. That is really cool. And the green eye, and she's crying some sort of sludge or whatever she's crying. Hopefully it's a tear of joy. She doesn't look very happy though. Maybe we should add a smile there just to cheer her up a little bit. Again, here another great example of those highlights tapering off. That's something you really want to watch out for. That hair is excellent. That is absolutely excellent. Yeah, so I think this kind of it's kind of like a light flare, like a glow. I think maybe just a little bit of that there, and maybe some subtle highlights along the bird. I think that would probably be good. You could even add a little bit of motion blur on this fella, because this fella is clearly moving in that direction, or no, that direction for you guys watching. So maybe a little bit of motion blur. Might be some on there already, but yeah, I think he just needs a bit more work with the highlights. This fella here, he's got a few more, so maybe a little bit more of that. I love the atmospheric fog. We've got some shadows here as well. I think possibly those shadows, if the light's in front of her, those shadows would be pushing back here a bit, so you might get a little bit of a shadow cast back here, whereas at the moment it doesn't look like there's any shadow. So instead of it being maybe to the side, I would probably think about how those shadows, whether there's one or more, might be cast there as well. But this is all sort of subtle. nitpicking, really. So good. In fact, looking at this makes me want to go and make something. And I love this as well. Even the watermark, like the fact that your logo kind of you've changed the colors to mimic the design. It looks really, really smart as a watermark in that bottom corner. Yeah, I think the consensus is that it looks very, very good. Where's that glow in the dark brush in Photoshop, says Phil. Yes, I agree too. Don't extend the light around the sleeves, says Josie. If Mortal Kombat added a new character, it would be this woman and her crows, says Sema. Yeah. What would you name them? Mortal Kombat. Round 1. Fight. I'm pretty sure they've got a new game coming out soon as well. Mortal Kombat 1 or something. It kind of gives me Harley Joker Toxic vibes, but I love it. Yeah, I get that a little bit. It's kind of like a 1900s, a toxic 1900s Harley. And I feel like this one would be called Miss Quinn, you know? She looks like a classy Harley Quinn, I think. Minus the baseball bat. And just, well, everything else, to be honest, with the added sludge. Fantastic. Yeah, I love that. Nice one. That is amazing. Let's move on to the next one. Boom. Very, very cool indeed. Right. What have we got next? Ooh, some more Photoshop work. I love this as well. Okay. We've got an advert for a drink. It looks like Sprite, but it's not. It's Green Sands, which seems like a very strange name. But anyway, yeah. I don't know if the product is part of the design as well, or if this is an existing product called Green Sands. So I'm gonna assume it's an existing product. But do correct me if this is your work and I'm wrong in saying that. I love the really like super intense highlight on the left. That's really, really cool. And we've got the kind of the light flare over here. Adds a lot more drama to the can, but then we've also got these kind of elements like, you know, lime and leaf, things that do go together as part of a drink typically, and some lovely motion, a great use of motion blur there, really cool. And then we've got the splash. I think that, I can't tell, that splash is either an image blended over like a splash on a black background, or it's going to be like a splash brush that they've stamped in. But either way, I think they've used a blending mode, maybe soft light or something, and it blends really nicely. Yeah, that's really cool. And for some reason, it's all sat on top of the limes. I don't know why it's on top of the limes. The more I look at it, it does feel a bit strange that it's kind of sat on top of the limes. Nice continuation of that crazy blown out highlight there. And yeah, I'm not sure why it's sat on the line, but hey, you know, whatever. Also the shadow, I think the shadow, something about the shadow here doesn't feel quite right. I think the shadow's too black. I think you need to get a bit more green in that shadow. But that's minor, that is. Or maybe add a few more shadows down this side. Or maybe not, because they've got the light flare here. So maybe the light's kind of coming from both sides. But yeah, maybe just a little bit more green in the shadow. And what else have we got? Yeah, that's meant to be a reflection. I don't think the reflection's looking too hot. Yeah, I kind of see what you've gone for. It sort of looks like part reflection and part like it's been sort of, I don't know, like kind of torn out. And there is a great add-on for Photoshop if you want an incredible reflection. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but the add-on is by, I think the person's called Flaming Pear. Oh, what's it called? I'll look it up for you. I'll look it up. Flaming Pear. Yeah, let me look it up. Yeah, this is it. Okay, I'll paste this in. This isn't sponsored or anything. There's a trial. Check it out. This is great for reflections. And I don't know how much it is to buy, but you can try it for free. And I bought it in the end because it was just so good. But it wasn't a lot, I don't think. I can't remember the exact price, but it's just is brilliant. What it will do is it will take part of your design that you define, and then it will flip it as a reflection. You can control like the wave height and the waves and everything, and it would make that look so good. So yeah, I would check out the trial for sure. Give it a go. There we go. Watermark on the bottom right. Yeah, I love that, and the kind of background as well is really, really nice. You know. A good example of just not doing a solid background, because solid, you know, if you're going for kind of photorealism, light is very rarely just flat. So they've got the kind of shadows right around the edge here, almost like a vignette, and then the light up here. We've even got different colors in the light, which is nice, kind of bringing in a bit more yellow from the limes, and that is kind of where the light source is coming from. So yeah, that is really cool. And these extra drips around the edge as well, these kind of lone wanderers, these nomadic drips that are just on their own, that kind of really does sell the idea that there is this splash happening, you know? Montenegro says the lighting is so good. Yeah. Mike Phelps, awesome stuff yet again. Oh, that was the previous one. The can sitting on the lime does look a bit off to me, but the design is really good. The lighting is great. Yes, I didn't notice it at first, but now I'm looking at it, it's kind of like, yeah, why is it balancing on that? Hey, I feel like if you had another lime or moved one of these over, or maybe just kind of had a few more limes congregating around the base here, so you couldn't really see too much of it, or just so it felt a bit more balanced, you know, if you added like another lime over here, whereas at the moment it kind of feels like it's off to the right a bit, whereas you could just have like a couple bits of lime down there to sort of balance the whole thing a bit more. But minor detail. Yeah, really, really cool. More green. Yeah, we've got a green theme going today, haven't we? Huh. The Elias says remove the leaves and add apples. Yeah, I think you could do. Then you'd have a lot of like round things that have already got like the limes as well. So I think maybe you could add one apple, but I think having the different kind of shapes does make it more visually interesting as well. The leaves make me think of mint. Yeah, I think they are. They might be mint leaves. I'm not sure. Is green the theme of the day? Yes. Green Heineken, green beer, green Coke, green soda. Don't forget your Dansky and orange glass. Yeah, I've got me orange mug. Right. Okay, next up. A logo. Something different. Something that isn't green. Oh, that's unfortunate. What's that font? Okay, hold up. Right, what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of this and then I'll whip that up because I don't have the fonts installed. Alright, let's open this up in Photoshop. It just means I'm not going to be able to do what I like to it. Okay, Hungry Shark. First off, we've got too much going on. Way too much going on. We've got the shark, we've got the sea, we've got very stylized lettering as well, which looks custom, but I'm not sure. And then we've got the knife and fork going around the edge. Hungry Shark, sensory indulgence unlocked. So I'm guessing it's some kind of food related thing. I don't know. Maybe it's, you know, you can order shark takeaway food, or it's a shark food restaurant. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's just a name for a place that does seafood. I have no idea, but I'm just going to be honest. Right, so I don't like the knife and fork at all. The style is quite rounded and very inconsistent to everything else. So in fact, let's give it a go. I'm in Photoshop, so I'm kind of limited as to what I can do, but let's have a play and see if we can sort this out. Because I can understand the thinking. It's like, oh, okay, the place is called Hungry Shark. We'll put a shark in there. Hungry, food. What do people use? Knives and forks. I understand the thinking, but that thinking can end up with an overcomplicated logo. Okay, so that there is literally 50% better already, just from getting rid of this. It doesn't need it. Okay, right. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a bit. I'm kind of zooming in too much now. I want like a halfway zoom between that. There we go. That'll do. Right. Okay. This sort of chipped away shark fin feels a bit random, especially these two kind of little toothpick shapes up here. So you could chip into this, but it has to have some sort of consistency. We've got a sharp spike here. We've got a sort of droopy bit here, and then a couple of little toothpick jabs there. That are kind of poking in that I'm just not crazy about. And I kind of understand this bit here. This is sort of acting as a highlight, but the width going around here, you can see that spacing isn't consistent. And if you know anything about lighting, is that if it's coming from that sort of right direction, it doesn't sort of fluctuate. It would be consistent to that edge. And I think this is meant to be the sea, but it doesn't really look like the sea because of the shape. So I think, I understand what you're going for, but I think you'd need to do something a little bit more like this. Do you know what I mean? So you could have your sea there, and then you could do that lighter color, and that would be your waves, right? Can I fill this? There we go. Obviously this is total crap, but hey, I'm doing what I can in the moment. Shark fin. I mean, the shark fin's fine. There we go. Ta-da. Yeah, so I think, that looks more like a boat than anything else, but so we'll ignore that. But yeah, and the angle and everything, like it, right, I'm gonna, let's whip this in Illustrator. I have to do this. I'm sorry. I got to do this. This is where you could get some, golden ratio stuff on the go, but you don't even need to really do that. Just use some circles to get that geometry nice and precise. You see here, I've just grabbed 2 circles. We'll draw a line straight through. And let's just move these over here. And I'm just going to grab the shape builder tool. And there you go, minus that little bit on the end. Do you see what I mean? You don't need to draw this manually. Don't pen tool this stuff. You're going to get a much better result just by using the shape builder tool. And another way you could get the wavy lines is you could draw the line here and go into distort and zigzag. We'll set this as a smooth one. You can adjust the size here. That's a bit more frequency-esque, but if you wanted waves, you could do something like this. See how that's looking. Maybe rotate it a bit. Do you see what I mean? Like already we've got something that's looking just really, really kind of clean and simple. Let's just round off any corners. So, and that highlight as well. So instead of manually drawing a highlight and then doing something like that, which is kind of sloppy, just use your existing curve. Direct selection tool, click this line, this path, copy, paste in place. You can see we've got that isolated, and then just scale it down. So we've got the same curve. Okay, obviously scaling it down is going to mess it up, but if we find the right scale, we should be able to keep that width consistent all the way around. But the point is we're not redrawing the curve. In fact, there might be a better way to do this. Let me try... let me try something else, actually. This could work. Offset path. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We'll set that as a negative value. Obviously, it's created a bonkers shape there. But if I just move this out with the arrow keys, I only need one part of the shape. So let's just grab all of this. Select, 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 select. Don't need that, that, all that, all that. Delete. Now I've got that one path. I can move it back in. That's probably a better way of doing it. And then I could just get the scissor tool and cut that there. And you can see more or less the width is kind of consistent. I can obviously tweak it if I want to and bend this out of shape ever so slightly. But just quickly doing it, you know, maybe make that one thinner. Obviously I'm completely undoing what I've just done. I'll leave that alone for now. But do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's quite quick and easy to just do something like that. Right, let's see what people are saying. Danny, really loving these photo manipulation pieces. Makes me want to step up and practice this sort of thing beyond just watching Udemy courses, but not going back after I got done with my assignment. Lol. Photo manipulation is so much fun. Maybe seafood. Fabio says you can turn the knife into the shark fin. Yeah, that's a good idea. The curve of the fin looks like it's in motion, but the water is calm. Sounds in French, it means without. Yeah. I don't know if you need the French accent, though, to say sans serif. Sans serif. So Jal says, hey Dansky, I've submitted my design a week ago. When will it get reviewed? I've got lots of designs to do and review. I mentioned earlier in the stream that what we're probably going to do is do one more round next week and then put a pause on new submissions being submitted, just because I can then catch up on some of the old ones. Just because people submitted work like weeks ago and I just haven't got around to it. I think it does. Could use an offset path to do it. Yeah. Try making the ends of the wave thinner. Yeah, so you could taper that off. So we've got a width profile here and we could just taper that off. Ooh, that looks nice. I like that. Yeah, good shout. In fact, what I would actually do is I would probably do that manually. I would taper it manually. So we'll find the halfway point and set the weight there and then taper off the ends. Because if I taper them down manually, you can see that by doing it with the width tool, I can still retain that rounded stroke cap. Whereas if I use the width profile, it just tapers it off to a point, which is really sharp. And if you want that, great, but I don't. And I can actually thicken this up. And if I thicken this and make it thinner, it will still maintain those proportions. So you can kind of play around with it and it will respect any changes that you've made using the width tool. I mean, yeah, you know, there's a lot we could do with that. And I could get very, very carried away playing around with that. But I'm not going to. Back to this though. That was the point I was trying to make that took like 10 minutes to explain, was just kind of use your basic shapes to create some of the geometry sometimes rather than pen tooling it. And yeah, I see what, was it Sema or someone was saying that it feels like it's in motion. It's kind of off center as well. And I think the water needs to look more like a wave. I'm not crazy about the font either. If it's a custom font or if it's a pre-made font, I don't think it's a well-made font. If it's custom, hey, I'm sorry, but it's true. If it's a pre-existing font, it ain't good at all. You know, we've sort of got these little tiny pixel spaced serifs here. The width is changing. We've got these weird bumps and humps. The width, this G is just, there's so many things wrong with this. I can't even, what is going on with this Y? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is going on with the S here? Like, yeah, it's just, the font is just an absolute no, 1,000,000%. And the tagline being in black, I'd probably make that a bit more subtle. Kind of make the brand name stand out more. I would probably change the color of the tagline to either be the same color or a lighter color. Or maybe pull the grey from the shark itself. So, okay, I think to summarize all of this one, I would say going with this concept, not like redesigning it and integrating food and sharks and all that kind of thing. I think there probably is a more effective food shark hybrid idea there. But if we were looking at this concept, I would say get the randomness out of these chips. Either have like a single kind of chip out of his shark fin, or just get rid of them altogether. Make the geometry a little bit more precise using basic shapes. The highlight, make it precise. Make the water, the shape of the water reflect water a little bit more. The colors are okay. Colors that are used throughout the logo, they're okay. I mean, grey and blue aren't especially appetizing colors. I don't know, just something to bear in mind. So maybe you could, you know, instead of going with all realistic colors, you could actually go with just a single solid color that is more related to the cuisine that is on offer. That might be another idea. It doesn't have to kind of be a literal representation. Totally scrap this font here saying Hungry Shark. You could still go with a font that's quite angular, like the shark fin. That would be a nice kind of link there if it had kind of very spiky shark fin like elements. That would be good. And the tagline underneath, just maybe set that back a little bit with a lighter, more subtle color. And the spacing as well. This needs a bit more breathing space, just a little bit more space top and bottom. Oh, okay. Right. Was that helpful? Hopefully that was helpful. I had to go through that process just to kind of show you what I meant about using geometry, because that tip about using geometry is just, you know, like it would make, I think there's quite a few logos that I've reviewed in these lives where the concept is brilliant, but the actual execution is not great. And that's where I'm all about, just like, come on, let's tighten up the execution. Let's use the right tool for the right job. Get that tight, and you know, your logo that doesn't look great actually conceptually is very clever, and it could look great just with a few tweaks. That's why I'm quite passionate about that sort of stuff. I think a lot of people have these very anyone can have a clever idea for a logo, right? But it's being able to execute on that idea as well. Max Art says maybe continue this on the designing stream. Yeah, maybe. I got a few ideas for the design stream. Yeah, it was fun last week doing the logos. I really enjoyed that. The Elias, can you roast my design, Dansky? Which one's your design? Let's roast away. Someone says, can you use Photoshop for this? You can use Photoshop for logo design. It's not something I would recommend for most logos. Obviously, some logos do have a very realistic look and they have a lot more texture. So there is an advantage to using Photoshop, especially if you kind of have like brushwork or stuff like that in there. Obviously, it's not vector though, so there are downsides and things to consider. Whereas if you do it in Illustrator, your work is vector, and a vector graphic can be scaled to any size without a loss in quality. So just something to consider. I quite like the choice of font for the name, but not the tagline. Seems like an afterthought. Oh no, sorry Phil, I have to respectfully disagree with you there. I really don't like the name, the Hungry Shark font. It's not my cup of tea. Okie dokie, what is next? Oh, this is an interesting one. I like I like the barnacliness of it. That's a very piratey thing to say. That's funny. Hey, each to their own. If you like the necessity of the of the font, that is absolutely fine. Okay, right. What have we got? Well, we very clearly got a product advertisement. I'm not sure why it says that at the top. I don't actually know. It's a bit odd, you know, stating that it's an advert. But let's just. I'm not going to put too much focus on that. I'm going to ignore that. You know, yeah. Let's focus on the actual ad itself. So, yeah, this is a really cool style. I think I've seen this floating around quite a lot lately, actually. This, you know, you've got part of the word here, and then the part that's over the shoe is kind of like just an outline only. And it's quite clever, actually, because you can still read the word, but you can also see the product. So it is very good. It also serves another purpose in that this shoe now feels like it's sandwiched between the two words, and it creates a nice depth. So it's a very clever technique, actually, being able to see both things at the same time. The tick and the just do it, that ain't Nike's font, and they wouldn't be happy with you putting their logo like that. I could tell you that now. I'm sure their brand guidelines are like watertight, and you would not be doing that. I might be wrong. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong and they've switched it up a bit, but nope. Right, we've got up to. I don't think up to is one word, so that would need a space first of all. Also, right, we've got too many fonts. That's just what I'm noticing actually now. We've got the nice big font. That's a good font choice there. That's a really good font choice. This feels a little bit strange. We've got like up to 50% off, but then there's the price off here. Like it feels like you wanna go with one of these. You know, is this advertising this specific product, or is it just advertising all products? Because if it was this specific product and this was like the Nike Swift 5 or something, I don't know, you'd have the price. If you were just advertising running shoes as a more kind of broad general term, you might have up to 50% off. In which case you'd need to state what the category is, or what am I getting 50% off from? It says free run, but what is free run? Is that the name of the shoe? Is that like a type of thing? Is it running shoes in general? Is it men's or women? I don't know. Like, so I feel like, and that's important because I think the placement here feels strange. It's just kind of like right down in the corner, like, oh, by the way, it's up to 50% off. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, like that is a big thing. It's like, hey, you can get 50% off a thing, and so it would be like louder and it would kind of shout it out. So I think if it was running shoes, right, you'd maybe move the logo somewhere else, get rid of product advertisement, have up to 50% off up here, up to 50% off whatever running shoes or whatever it is. And then you might have sometimes what you see as well, if a company wants to advertise the type of product and that specific one, you'd have the Swift 5 Max. Let's go, yeah, Swift 5 Max. That sounds great. You might have Swift 5 Max down here, and then you'd have your $25 here. 50. Nope, that's not a dollar sign. And I think it's at the back. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the dollar sign comes after because this might be Europe. Some countries, I think they put the currency sign at the end. Yeah. So sometimes they'll kind of have up to 50% off the category, and then they'll have the kind of the name of the product with the price there as well. Do you know what I mean? So people know, okay, this is, I'm saving 50% off this type of product. Oh, this specific product that I see and I really like, it's this product here, and this is how much it is. Whereas at the moment, the whole kind of ad, I feel like the actual the content of it isn't quite right, which means that the design doesn't make logical sense. It's like, what are you kind of promoting? Which kind of leads me on to my other point, which was it I don't know what to look at. And I think that's because of what I was talking about before. It needs kind of a much more it needs more hierarchy and more structure. Whereas I'm kind of pulled all over the place. Like, what am I looking at? Do you know what I mean? Like, even if you make one bit of text here, like a different color, it's like, boom, you've created some hierarchy, and I can kind of digest everything I'm looking at. Even the social icons. I mean, it wouldn't say find. Would it be find me here or find us here? If it was a business, you'd say us, I imagine. And you'd probably want to make these a lot more subtle. And you wouldn't have find me here. You'd have... oh dear. Okay, it's not typing. I'm trying to edit it, but it's not having it. You'd probably have something like this, company name, and then you'd have all your social handles if they were the same. So like my social handle on Twitter, Instagram, whatever is /Forever Dansky. That's kind of my thing. So that's just a cleaner way of presenting it. Rather than saying find us here, what am I searching for? I go on Twitter, what do I search for? Who are you? Whereas if you include it, it just, it makes them think less and makes it much easier for them to kind of do what you would like them to do. But yeah, just hopefully, does that make sense? That felt like a lot of rambling, but hopefully that makes sense. Captain Haddock. We're making fish pirate jokes now. Paragon Studios, can I submit my logo now? Yes, if you'd like to submit, this is your last chance. I know that sounds very definitive, but yeah, last chance, and then I think after the next week's one we'll catch up on some old ones, because a lot of people have submitted and I haven't got around to it. Yeah, Matt Hawkins says find me here without the @ and the handle is kind of pointless. It totally is, because you're making somebody think, and they shouldn't have to think. They should just see it, they should understand it, and then they should know what action to take if they're going to take an action. Whereas if you're kind of making them look at it and go, find me here, wait, who are they, what do I search for, blah, 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 blah. Questions that should be answered within the design, I think. Josie says, yeah, Matt Hawkins, I agree, not necessary. Social icons are too big and to the right. Yes, Phil, they are way too big. And of course, they're quite bold as well. So again, it's more white. It's just pulling my eyes away from everything else. Even if the social icons were like a medium grey, like a 50% grey, it stands back a little bit from the main message that you want me to kind of know about, which is this. Why are pirates called pirates? They just are. That was very good. I enjoyed that. I'm gonna have to remember that one. I'll try and remember that for the kids later on. Obviously I'll have to take credit for that joke, Dansky original, but thank you, Phil. Yeah, come on, Phil, keep the dad jokes coming. I love it. Next we're gonna get, why did the chicken cross the road? Why did the chicken cross the road? I don't know. Yeah, so yeah, just to wrap up, I think, yeah, this is a really good example of when you're working with a client on something like this. I think actually, rather than just getting their information and kind of running with it, it would be important to have a conversation about, okay, what are you trying to say? Because clearly here, I think there's a lot of things with the designer that are fine, but the actual structure and hierarchy of the information is wrong. It's not working, and that then translates into a design that isn't clear. So hopefully that was helpful. So hopefully that was Yeah. So I think that was submitted by someone called Sohail, hopefully. There's a lot of hope today, isn't there? Hopefully that's your name. Hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. Please come back. Okay, next up. We've got one by Sajal, who I believe is in the chat, or was at least in the chat earlier on. Sajal, are you still there? I'm not even a dad. Well, there you go. You're prepared. You're making dad jokes before. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, just keep them coming, man. All right. This is really cool. I love this. When Zorro is your navigator. I love this. Micro worlds. That is so cool. I love the texture as well. I think they've applied a texture to like the whole thing. And a bit of grain as well. And I really like that. So I can't tell, like, Sajal, did you do this illustration? Like, is this all done from scratch? Or is this an illustration or a graphic that you found and then kind of photoshopped it in? Yeah, because which direction is the light coming from? I think the light is intended to be coming from here. Something like that. And it kind of is consistent. Sort of, not really. Okay, well, we'll talk about the lighting first. There's a really dark shadow here, but if the lighting is coming from there, in reality, you would have much more of the boat kind of in shadow. I think actually this is kind of like this is more like a photo. This is a cartoon style of illustration because you can sort of see the hard shadows on here. I think if you added some more shadowing to this, it would actually look really, really cool, mixing that kind of realism cartoon style. Because just having a shadow along the bottom, like, is a little bit lazy. Come on, we need to get some more shadows coming up into these bits here, and some of these bits would be very, very dark. And yeah, you would have a shadow like this as well. I think this part of the shadow that's quite close to the boat would be a lot darker. As you move further out towards the edge here, this part of the shadow would be a lot lighter and it would blur more. Same here. It kind of feels a bit consistent all the way through, you know? The shadow by his feet would be very, very dark, much more pronounced, and it would be quite soft as you get out here as well. And it wouldn't just be like a triangle either. It would have like a few kind of kinks and bits and pieces where his arm is, or the sword sticking out. So I think the shadows probably need a bit more work, but they're you know, at first glance, there's a lot that you don't notice. You know, this is in shadow, which is nice. It's much darker. This is lighter. You probably want to have some more shadows here as well. So the kind of light is brighter here, and then it just sort of gets a little bit darker as it creeps down towards the end. Let's get rid of my big arrow. I love the way you've got the clouds as well. You've got the clouds and the birds coming outside because it makes this... I love these. I really do love these. Yeah, just extending beyond the bounds makes it feel like it is just like a little... Like someone's captured a piece of time and just kind of plonked it on a block on a pedestal or something. I think here the way this kind of ends probably needs to be a bit more polished. Do you know what I mean? It kind of feels like it's just a bit of a blur, like it's just been blurred off. And I think just need to bring that down a bit there. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of meets that end point. Or what would look really good, actually, in fact, you should definitely 1,000,000% do this, is get a sand brush and have the sand make the edge all inconsistent and do it by hand and have the sand coming over the edge. So sand is literally falling off the edges. That would look sick. That would look so cool. So it's just not so straight. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, definitely do that. dear designer. I think he was suffering to add shadows, not lazy. No, I know. I'm only playing. I'm only playing. Yeah, it's like down here. The shadows feel much better down here. They feel quite sort of dark, quite close to the brickwork, and then they do fade out as you get a bit further away, and they get softer. So I feel like that shadow there with this dark wall, there's parts of this design where the shadows are really good and it sort of sells it, and then there's other parts that just need work, like this bit down here. Like the shadow kind of here doesn't really make sense. Do you know what I mean? It would be, if there was a shadow there, it would be much tighter, and most of your shadow would be kind of coming out the back here. I do like this. This is nice. Whatever this means, one piece. One piece of a micro world. And the text down here as well. This is really good. Nice big bold text. We've got the logo. Yeah, and the information. And I like the fact there's all this space around the edge. It really does put the focus on that design. Kind of makes me want to do one, actually. I'd love to do one of these. I've never really done one before. Like, I've had a play, but I've never really kind of properly had a go. That would be a fun competition, right? Maybe we could do that as a competition. You could design your own micro world. That would be really, really cool. What do you reckon? Or is that just me getting a bit excited? Matt Hawkins says, I'm unaware what it's for, but I feel that perhaps the illustration differs in style to the more hyper-realistic scene. Intentional, or are they supposed to blend? Yeah, it's a weird one. I know what you mean. They are very different. I like it in one sense, that there is kind of that mix of two different styles. But also, I'd love to see this cartoon style boat with realistic shading. And it'd be interesting to see that if with a bit of shading, so it's kind of less flat, actually, does it suddenly start to look more realistic? I think it would. I think it would look really, really cool. Yeah, so a few things there, but conceptually, love it. Background color choice, excellent, really nice. Love that paper texture. And yeah, I really want to do one. I think that would make a fun competition. Oh, Benny Productions. He created the Micro World series and fans adopted it to create their own. Oh, I've not seen that. Was that a few years ago? Oh, I'll have to go and check that out if it's still on his channel. Right. Next up. How are we doing for time? 4:15. Right. Do. Oh, also, just before we jump into this one, I don't know if you've seen the poll on the channel. Basically, I was just asking if people would like a free webinar where I just kind of go into the basics and the fundamentals of Adobe Illustrator. So it kind of it would be like me live, and there would just be like a bunch of things to kind of help people get started with Illustrator. Like, just give people a solid foundation of like, this is Illustrator, these are the main tools, like the real kind of fundamental stuff, just to help people make sure that people learn the fundamentals in the correct order. And then once you've got that sorted, then you can kind of springboard off and learn the rest of it or whatever. But yeah, that was just kind of, I threw that one out there because I'm really enjoying these lives. And I'm starting to play around with Zoom a bit more, and I feel like doing a webinar over Zoom, like, I don't know, I love doing this format where I can actually teach and talk to people and interact with people, and I just feel like that would be more fun than perhaps just like something pre-recorded. I don't know, I'm just kind of yeah, just trying to figure it out. But yeah, so if you get a chat, in fact, actually, hang on, if you haven't already seen the poll, it's got quite a few votes on it already, I think. but I thought I would just mention it at least and kind of, how do I share it? There we go. And just kind of throw it out there so people can kind of, you know, at least, I don't know how to share it. Is this it? Okay, it's on the, I'll post the community tab. You'll find it near the top. But I thought I would throw it out there just so you guys know that that's what I'm thinking of doing. And if you wanted to kind of say, hey, yeah, this is good, or no, this is a rubbish idea, you kind of get that chance to kind of weigh in. Dear designer, yes, you should do that. But Satori Graphics already is the king of foundations and tips. Ah, beat me to it. Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose, you know, I could have a crack at doing it as well with my silly, sarcastic British humour. maybe there's space for both of us to play in the sandpit together. Didn't see the poll, but I can see how that would benefit a bunch of designers getting started. No Zoom. I hate Zoom. It cringes me. Why don't you like Zoom? Stream the Zoom. Oh my goodness. Now you're getting technical. Maybe. Yeah. Zoom's one of those things that I just haven't done a lot of, but actually kind of it integrate basically the platform Kajabi that I've got my course hosted on. They do like a Zoom integration as well, so you can actually make events, connect it to Zoom, and it all kind of connects up. And do you know what I mean? Like it kind of doing it with Zoom, you still get the chat. I think there's a whiteboard feature, right? Zoom has a whiteboard feature. So someone in the last stream said, you know, it'd be great if we could all kind of come up with designs. So when everyone's typing at me in the chat, you need to do this, move this here, do that. We could all just get together on a whiteboard and do it that way instead, which I think would be hilarious. So yeah, that was one of the other reasons as well. I thought it'd be fun to do Zoom because, you know, whiteboard session. I mean, come on. How fun would that be? As long as people don't start drawing rude things. Get demonetized. Phallic design is prohibited. Oh yeah, no. If I do a Zoom one, you know, there will be. If I did a webinar over Zoom, there would be a place on my website where it would tell you how long until the webinar, all that kind of stuff. So. Yes, someone did say earlier time zones might be an issue. So it would probably be a case if I'd have to do the webinar at 9 o'clock in the morning UK time and then maybe do it at 6 o'clock in the evening. So I don't know, 9 hours apart, just so, you know, everyone at least has a chance to jump on. Maybe that solves the problem. I don't know. But yeah, if you have any other thoughts, you know, please do add them to the community post because... yeah, I got a lot of ideas of things going on at the moment, and it's exciting. Right, next bit of design, Scorpion Zaya. I'm going to assume that's the person's name. I love this. I've got a giant scorpion. That is my star sign, Scorpio. I love the red, black, and white. It looks really, really cool. Very interesting. The evolutionary history of scorpions goes back to the Silurian era, 430 million years ago. How would they know that? 430 million years ago. I can't wrap my head around how people know that kind of stuff. I reckon they just make it up. I think they just make it all up. Yeah, I'm going to call BS on that, but very, very cool. I think the text is the spacing at the top of the box is a bit tight. I would bring the text down just a pinch, just so it sits centrally in the box. But design-wise, I'm not sure what style you would call this, but it looks really cool. Like, look at this bit. The way they've kind of just cut this part out the tail and had that sort of wallpaper part of it, like the striped pattern just coming through. What have we got down here? Ooh, this text is way too thin. Way too thin. Same here. It's too light. So if this were going to be printed, it would be quite difficult to read, I think. Also, I would space those lines a bit further apart, and the spacing on the top compared to the bottom is just wildly off. So just tighten that up a little bit. There's a lot of elements to this design. I'm not going to pick this kind of design apart too much, because the chaos of this design, I think, is kind of part of the charm, actually. There are certain things, like this red block here. Normally I would be like, get rid of the red block. It doesn't serve a purpose. You don't need that here. But actually, there is kind of an element of chaos and randomness to this, and I kind of like it, actually. It's nice because normally especially with my own personal taste with design, everything's very methodical. It's kind of dunk, 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 dunk. And this just kind of completely disrupts that, but in a way that I appreciate. I don't like these kind of ways they kind of curve up here, and this just feels a bit sloppy. You see what I mean? So, okay, there is a limit. You can have some chaos, that's fine, but you're gonna line your stuff up. You gotta line it up, right? And I don't like this cross here. It's almost touching, but it's not quite. It feels off. I would probably overlap that. I would do something like, okay, let's pick a red color. I would maybe, if you want to do that, do something like, I don't know, something like that, or maybe just move it a bit further away. Like, basically, you can have your chaos, but don't make any certain parts look like an accident. Like this bit here. I see this curve coming down here, and it doesn't end there. So chop it off. So you can have chaos, but you're going to also have attention to detail. Yeah. Oh, I love this. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, so I'm not going to go into this one too much. It's just really kind of tightening up a few of those details, making this font a little bit chunkier, spacing the lines apart a bit further, just so it's kind of clearly legible at a print size, and then maybe just tightening up just a few of those little kind of elements related to the technical execution. But apart from that, hey, bring on the chaos. Red, white, and black. Love it. Reese says, I like this one a lot. Dear designer, the design is thick, but there is too much to look at. Yeah, I understand that. I think the fact that it has a title that is so bold right at the top definitely helps it. I think if you kind of intermingled a title in the sort of body of the design, like here you've got the word scorpion. I didn't even see that for ages. Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't matter because it's just the word scorpion. There's a picture of a scorpion. We know we're talking about scorpion. So you can add that text in there. If no one sees it, hey, it doesn't matter. It's not kind of related to the information. But I think they kind of, yeah, you need to make this text here a bit bigger and a bit bolder, and maybe have like an in-between font. So we've got big up here, small down here. You maybe just need a subtitle. Something just to caption this body of text. What is this text going to explain? Why would I bother reading it? You know, like maybe it'd be like, why do scorpions do this? Or blah, 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 blah. Did you know? And something to just draw your eye, because there's no kind of anchor to sort of pull someone to read this body of text. So I understand what you're saying. Yes, it could definitely get lost. Just G, I can see this in a magazine. Very cool. Yeah, for sure. Same, I agree. What are the pluses doing? Looks more like a print registration mark, especially at the top. Yeah, that's what I think. That top one, I wasn't really feeling it. Whereas some of these kind of like, okay, you've got these random design shapes. Yeah, it's fine. You know, some designs actually just look quite nice by dotting crosses, triangles, circles around, because it just adds like a little bit of interest to a design, especially if you've got like a lot of big shapes and a lot of big elements. Just sprinkling a few little elements is kind of like, I don't know, it's like having a cake, right? You've got a cake, you've got your layers, you've got things on the cake, so it's nice. And then you just sprinkle a few hundreds and thousands on top. That's what it feels like to me. It's just a little bit of decoration. It doesn't really need to be there, but it makes it a little bit extra. If you added hundreds and thousands onto a cake, or like chocolate sprinkles or something, the cake is going to taste great or terrible either way, but it just adds a little bit more. I don't know. I'm just thinking about cake. Hopefully you know what I'm saying. I think I like it due to the chaos as well. Plus, I'm a sucker for black, red, and white. Yes, me too, Reese. Me too. This reminds me of something David Carson would design, the chaos and the heavy red-black usage. This is a good place to go when you want the rules of design so you can break them. Indeed, yeah. Rules are made to be broken. That's what they say, right? Or bent, or I don't know, bent and broken. Something like that. Something about rules. Rules schmools. Dansky, did you try Unreal Engine before? I think I did a few years ago. Unreal 4. I started making a room. And then I tried, what did I try learning? I tried learning C++, no, C#. I made a game called Flappy Bat. It was a clone of Flappy Bird with a bat. It was complicated. I'm not a coder. Coding's not for me. I like pretty things. Right. If you're ever on the west coast of America, you can find scorpions at night with a UV torch. Oh my goodness. West Coast. Okay. Ooh, never go there. Actually, that would be quite cool. I saw a 7 and a girl. I immediately thought blonde. A blonde bond. Max Art says Blender. Yes, I use Blender sometimes. More for fun than anything else, but yeah, I do love me some 3D in Blender. Right, we'll do a few more. And then I need to go because my face hurts. I think it's just because I've been just laughing and smiling so much. I mean, that sounds really sad, doesn't it? Yeah, I've got like mouth strain or something. Shut up, Dan. Just get on with it. Okay, what have we got here? Right, this is by Keneal Robinson. Right. I had a look at this one earlier, and I don't really know where to start with this one, because it's like a lot of it's kind of reminds me of the shark one a bit. It's Keneal's phone repairs and unlocking, but they've tried to include everything, and it just doesn't need to be there. So, this is layered. This is a PSD. Okay. Why do it if you don't enjoy it too, Dan? I feel I've forgotten what I even said. I've forgotten what I said. Sorry, mate. I'm getting on. You're going to have to remind me what I said. Dear designer, everything is so bad that you don't know what to say first. Okay, right. When I see something like this, I immediately look at it and I think, right, how can I make this concept simpler? Could this work? Yes, it could. And that is exactly what I got with this one. But it's kind of like what I did with the shark one. So I don't think we need to show repairs. They did the same thing. You see what I said earlier on with the knife and the fork? Oh, it's okay. It does shark. Hungry shark. It does food. We'll add a knife and fork. This does repairs. We'll add something that represents repairs. Let's add a cog. No, it doesn't need to do that. I've got the KP and the R. Let's remove that for now. That could go in there. And this is meant to be a computer screen, a mobile, and a tablet. Now, I think what's happened is they've done this in Photoshop, and What this says to me is they've just used the wrong tools, and so it kind of comes out like a little bit kind of sort of rough around the edges, right? You know, the widths and things aren't consistent. This should be done in Illustrator, this kind of logo. There's no reason why you would do something like this in Photoshop, because it's not kind of got any kind of realistic texture or lighting or anything. So you should be in Illustrator, really. And then the text, I mean, no, do never ever squish your text like this. It's awful. Let's get rid of that. So I was looking at this, right? The whole thing is about phone repairs, and I'm going to whip up Illustrator again because I did have a few thoughts. I just wanted to try something, right? I was like, okay, maybe we could start with this and then work that in somewhere. So they want to show the 3 devices, right? They fix computers, phones, and tablets. Okay, how can we do that? Right, well, let's just throw down a computer first of all. I'm just making this up, by the way. We're going to see what happens. It might be awful. Kind of looks like an iMac. Okay, so let's just run with that for now. We'll shrink it down, squish it in. Actually, it looks like a knockoff iMac, like an iMac copycat. But we'll do something like this. Squish it down. Let's just get the basic shapes right. Phones are pretty easy to replicate in terms of shape. So what have we got? We've got a phone. And then we'd have, let's say, a tablet as well. Okay, so we've got a bunch of shapes. Let's see what we could do with this. Okay. Let's nudge that up. Make a cut. And get that out of the way as well. Maybe bring that down. Get rid of the bottom. Is there scope to try and do something clever like this? Maybe. We could try and add a cut on these sides as well. Trim those off. There is obviously, of course, the chance that I end up just making a very pretty pattern or something that is totally useless. Like that. Okay, let's try something different. Let's get rid of this bottom part. Space these a bit further, push this down. Obviously that's not a phone shape anymore, so we're gonna have to fix that. And bring it back up. We need that phone back. Right, okay, there we go. We've got a phone. The phone could kind of double up as the back of an iMac or something. So we could push that back up. We've got a phone and an iMac. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching there. And I think you could have these lines touch. So you could bring these in like this. And then we could bring that up. So you could have it a bit more consistent. 2 kind of versions there. So we've got one where it's all together and one that's a bit more like an icon like this. And let's just round this off a little bit. We'll round the phone off a bit more. Oops. Maybe unround that off. And then we could add a few details. So this is clearly identifiable as a phone. Usually a camera and a little kind of home indicator line will do it. And let's round off the caps on the strokes as well. And just round off those corners. Centrally align everything. That's way too big for a camera. Smush that up there. So there might be an idea there. Howdy night for you tonight, yeah. It takes 17 muscles to laugh, but 43 to frown, so just keep smiling, everyone, to get through the day. Very beginner, like if someone found Microsoft Paint and randomly put things together. But everyone begins somewhere. Yes, that is very true. And yes, I feel like, right, this is what I was saying about doing the Adobe Illustrator webinar. I think a lot of people would benefit enormously from doing some sort of just introduction to Illustrator, because actually once you learn, even in my course, my Illustrator course, I'll throw it in the chat if you're interested, but even after you've done the first, I think I'd say three modules out of 10, you will have a solid foundation for creating pretty much any logo. Because a lot of logo design is predominantly about drawing shapes. It's about combining shapes, like I demoed earlier, using basic shapes. No, we don't need to be these master illustrators that kind of do all this and make everything look brilliant. You can actually do quite a lot just by using basic shapes and combining them, and just doing it the right way. That's the important thing. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of designers kind of, and I did this as well. A lot of designers kind of, they learn the tools the wrong way and they don't have a good foundation, and those habits kind of get stuck. And you carry on with those habits for many years, and then realize years later that, oh, actually I was doing this the complete wrong way, and I could have saved myself a heck of a lot of time. Hello again, welcome back, Popinder. Had to get on with some work, but I'm back. Look at you working. Poppy is now an independent travel agent, so if anyone needs a holiday and would like to save lots of money, get in touch. Phil says you need 17 circles to represent the camera these days. I don't know. There's going to be like 20 cameras on the iPhone 20 or whatever. It's getting a bit outrageous now. Hi Dan, where can we send our designs? Oh, let me throw the link up again. I will post it later on somewhere. There you go. There's the link if you'd like to submit work. The webinar would help with a lot with avoiding those mistakes. Yeah, I think it really would. It really would, because it's kind of like, I mean, if you've joined all these different design review streams, I'm usually pointing out very similar things. And I think it would just, if you want to learn the entirety of Illustrator, you can go and do that. There's my course if you want that. But if you just want to understand the fundamentals, that's the kind of thing that we could cover off in like half an hour. Do you know what I mean? And actually once you've got that solid foundation, there's actually quite a lot that you can already do. Right, anyway, where were we? Sorry, I've got totally distracted there. Okay, phone repairs and unlocking. So, well, first of all, actually, I would probably be tempted to kind of introduce some sort of unlocking element. So, I mean, I completely forgot that. So we could try and chuck something like this in. There we go. That's a phone unlocking. There we go. Nice. Brilliant. Good job, Dan. Yeah, so we could do something like that, but then obviously I'm running the risk of making the mistake that I said you shouldn't do, which is kind of introducing too many ideas and too many elements. So the business is called phone unlocking and repair. So personally, I would probably, as much as I think there is a really cool design that combines the monitor and the phone kind of looks like the back of the monitor as well, I think it's just, they're two separate ideas. So I think if I was going to do this properly, I would do the phone unlocking as its own idea. looks a little bit like a coat hanger. Yeah, let's try thickening this up. We'll keep the. It's good work. Keep those little details a bit thinner. Nice to kind of mix it up a bit sometimes. So there's the camera. Indicator at the bottom. Yeah, there could be something in that. It's arguably quite simple. Alright, what's the name? Keneals. Okay. Like it's like I'm just gonna throw in we'll go with ITC. Yeah, I mean this is totally different, but I think it's interesting how you can make something immediately look, whether you like the design or not, you can very quickly make something look more professional, even if the design is boring and simple. And do you know what I mean? Like there's obviously going to be a better design here. Phone repairs and locking. That is a mouthful. I don't like apostrophes in logos, so I was trying to avoid it, but I don't think we're going to get around it. Okay, caps are usually bigger, so let's try without the caps. Maybe make the text slightly less bold, and now because it's a little bit less, I could probably get that on one line. I mean, let's be honest, it isn't going to win any awards, is it? But if I bring the original back in its entirety, oops, not that one. I mean, that's just, that's just one quick idea that I've thrown together, but instead it's just focusing on one element and thinking, okay, it's to do with phones. I mean, even the name, phone repairs and unlocking. Yes, you do other things as well. I've put photo as well. What an idiot. Phone repairs and unlocking. Or you could have device repairs or, another. Just take away the apostrophe. Yeah, I'm going to go with. Just lose the apostrophe. I don't even like that apostrophe. I think we need a nicer apostrophe. Oh, there we go. That fits a bit better. Need to close the gap a bit more as well. It's the problem with these logo designs. I kind of get sort of swept up in it a little bit. Yeah, and it's the kind of thing that you could throw it on the side, or you could throw this kind of up alongside it. If it was on a website, get rid of that. You see what I mean? So it works stacked vertically or horizontally. I think there is a much cooler idea there, but yeah. Anyway, the purpose of that was just to kind of demonstrate that there are. It's better to try and focus on one idea, even if this idea turned out to be very, very basic. I think arguably it's better than trying to do all of the ideas. Yeah, this is. Do you know why I like these ones? Because at first glance, I look at it and I go, okay, well, this isn't good. But actually, it's kind of, and I've done this before, if you just pick one element, kind of like with the shark one as well, we scrapped the knife and fork and we focused on the fin and the water. If you actually just isolate that one element and focus on that, you could actually end up with something quite cool. Dan's photo and logo repairs. Oh, funny. Yeah. The effectiveness of the design is there. That's cool, Dan. Oh, thank you. Whoo. Yeah. But again, maybe that's another one for the Thursday streams to kind of. I think there's a really cool idea there, but unless I'm just going to explore something, just bear with me. I've just got an idea that I have to just see if there's something there. I don't know why I get these ideas. They pop into my head and it's like, right, I've got to give it a go. It's very abstract. I'll be honest, it is very abstract, but there might be something there. Or it might be terrible. Align to key item, clickety click. Nope. Yeah, I was trying to represent the computer and tablet as well, all in one go, but I don't know. And then bring these sides and this top down a bit. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. It was a good idea in my head. See, this is why we need to do whiteboard on a Zoom call. Because this would be a lot of fun. All just literally pitching in and coming up with ideas. It'd be really fun. Where should we send the designs for the streams? Okay, last chance to submit for next week, and then I'm going to catch up on all the designs that have been submitted that I haven't had time to review. Himanshu says, do you know coding? No, not anymore. I used to do HTML and CSS and no. Oh yeah, good point, Pupinder. The link is in the description. Yeah, I'll be the first to say this isn't great. There is an idea there, but it ain't gonna happen now. It sort of reminds me of that meme. Just kind of like God, yeah, Jesus. Don't quit your day job, Dan. God, I can't even speak anymore. What time is it? Nearly 5 o'clock. Right, we're going to do a couple more because I'm starting to lose the plot. My face hurts. I've got smiling strain. Right. Excellent. Thank you very much, Keneal Robertson, for submitting that. Hopefully that was helpful. Just to wrap up, the takeaway is to take one element and focus on that. And if it's going to be the phone, I would just look up phone logos, phone icons, things like that, and just try and match that sort of detail and that quality. And yeah, like I say, just pick whether it's the repair aspect or the unlocking aspect. You could play around with both. You could have a phone with a K on it. You could turn a K into. I'd probably go with K, to be honest. If that's your name, Keneal, I'd go with the K. And try and do something with that. It could be a K with a lock on it, or a K on a phone with an unlocking kind of thing happening, or so just pick one element and kind of go with that instead. Also, never squish your text. Don't do it. It never works. Right. Okay. The dragon. Oh, this is very Poseidon-esque. Nice. We've moved on from green now to blue. Okay, right. We'll do this nice and quick. Right. First of all, cut out. You need to remove all this fringing around the edge. That's this kind of white, not white. It's like a bluish kind of. It's not a highlight. It's kind of you see, it's kind of not there, and it's down here. You need to, when you do your cutting out and your selection, you need to just cut into the subject by a few pixels, and it will just get rid of that. See that kind of white line around the edge. Definitely get rid of that. Soften the edges as well. You don't want them perfectly crisp because it will make the subject look fake. Just a slight softening. Like up here. You can see up here it's quite soft. It's not super hard, which will make it look more realistic if it's slightly softer. Trident looks cool. I'll probably add a bit more detail to that. I would color certain bits up. Can you imagine this bit here? This is like a darker metal. The one in is slightly darker, and then this one here is lighter. That would create some really cool detail on the trident. Like, or you could make this top part out of like different metal. So you've got a shiny metal, a dull metal, and then gold. That would look sick. And then apply the blue to it. There's a crazy dragon thing in the background. I'm loving the glow coming off the eyes. And the way he's kind of blended into the clouds is really cool. Yeah. It's quite nice with that splash of orange as well. It feels a bit dull. It feels like the blue has washed onto the sunset, which this should, if it's going to be like that spot of color in the design, you've got to get that needs to look bright and punchy. It needs to have like a sun flare glow, which would be really dramatic. Casting a nice orange light just on this part of the subject, that would look cool. The lighting, the execution on the lighting's not great. Lighting, it looks like they've kind of tried to reduce the opacity. Never do that with lightning, and don't fade lightning out like this. Like, it shouldn't fade. Lightning is electricity. It is bright, it is punchy, it doesn't fade out, and it doesn't fade itself. Go and look up photos of lightning. It kind of doesn't just fade off like this. It's very bright and pronounced. Yeah, it's weird. It feels like the lightning is quite murky, and some of these bits of lightning here feel a bit random. I'd get rid of those. In fact, I'd probably scrub the lightning here. Actually, what I would do is I would probably have this lightning in the distance, just maybe one or two over here in the distance. So there's kind of thunder and lightning happening back there. Well, not thunder, but lightning back there. Because the lightning here wouldn't really work if you had the big kind of sun glow. They would clash, I think. You could also blur this creature in the background out slightly, or just kind of enshroud him in a bit more fog to make it look a bit more mysterious. So you almost can't quite see what it is, and you're like, oh, there's definitely something there, but I can't see what it is. Creates a bit more mystery, I think. We've got some placeholder copy down there. If this is for like a movie, use the font Due Credit. That is a good kind of font for that sort of movie style details. DUE Credit. Yeah, the text is okay. I like the font. It's nice and bold, but I think the way that the water behind is just blending through, I'm not a big fan of that. And then the highlights on the edges, they're like dulled on the outside. I think you tried to go for like a lens flare. Like a really quick way to add a lens flare. This is just one way that I just happen to do it. It's just not that. Don't do that. You just throw down a glow, stretch it out, squish it down, throw down another glow, make it smaller, stretch it out, and if you're really cheeky, throw down one more, Oops, they should all be central. Let's just stretch that middle one out. Group them all together. You can actually squish this quite thin. See what I mean? There you go, boom. You get your glow along the edge, and it looks pretty cool. And you can add colors if you want to introduce a bit of color as well. Then you could have glow kind of coming off different parts. Yeah, so like overlay, look at that. You see overlay there? You get that blue kind of around the edge. So you go from that to that. Just a really quick way to add like a much more realistic glow. And I think the problem I've got with the text is it's just kind of like there's either a blending mode or opacity on here, and it just lets the water kind of show through, but I'm not sure why. It's not like if it was glass, it'd be like, oh, this text has a glass effect so I can see through it, whereas it just kind of has an opacity like blend. So do you know what I mean? Like there's just something about it that it's just like, I don't know, it's like, is it part of the scene? Well, it must be because it's, showing the water through it, but then it's kind of not. So I don't know. I feel like it looks cool. It stands out and it's blue and everything, but it just feels like it needs to know whether it's part of the scene or not. Like I feel like, would this work just in solid white? Yeah, probably. Or should it be metal? Maybe the same metal as the trident. I don't know. That would probably look quite cool as well. But yeah, if you're going to do highlights and things, you've got to make them a bit more realistic. Let's just put them everywhere. It's just loads of little tricks like this that you kind of learn. Pshing! Highlights everywhere. Cool. Right. Oh, also, yeah, cool logo. I like that. Very nice. What was the name of the font style? Not sure. Possibly Gibson. It had a very particular G. Gibson's got a very thick weight. I think I've probably got that font on my system, what the font it is, because it's got the G that doesn't really have the kind of end part. But I can't remember exactly what it is. It's soft on one side and crisp on the other, says a lock. Yes. Okay, right. Last one for today. Willfully loft. Now, that is a strange word. I don't know what willfully loft means, but this is a lovely font. And this is by Mifta Shahan. I love that font, actually. Does anybody know what this font is? Because I love that font. I'm normally a bit funny and a little bit fussy when it comes to script kind of, curvy fonts like this, these sort of hand-drawn, almost hand lettering kind of style fonts. I'm very fussy with these, but this one has just enough of that sort of swooshiness, but it's very structured as well. And I do like it. I don't think it's hand-drawn, because we've got this kink here, which says to me that they've adjusted the tracking ever so slightly. But it might be. I might be wrong. And by the way, fix that, first of all. I need to know the name of that font. Pigeon Racer. Is that actually right? I need to look this up. Was that the name of the font, or are you just writing words? I can't find the font Pigeon Racer, Phil. A dove has made an appearance. I was just thinking that. I was thinking, oh yeah, okay, dove. Oh, this takes me back a few weeks. Do you know what it reminds me of? I don't know if any of you watch Paw Patrol, or any of you have kids that watch Paw Patrol. It reminds me of Chickaletta. It's this. It's a chicken that's a little bit dopey, and it reminds me of this. It just reminds me of that, just because it's the way it's got the beak and it's got the eye. It feels like it's got a lot of personality. I don't know what the brand is intended for. Like, I'm not entirely sure what this is. Unless, Phil, what you were saying is you've looked it up and it is for pigeon racing. Pigeon racers use lofts. Right. I'm with you now. Okay. Never knew that before. I feel like I've learned something today. That's the advert. Okay. But I need to know what this font is. If it is a font, I hope it's a font because I love it. I'm going to have to look this up. But, yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting layout because you've got the sort of the main text here, and this text kind of, they've sort of snuck it nicely under the first few letters, which is nice. But then you've got the mark over on the right-hand side, which is definitely different, you know? It's a different layout. Now, normally you'd have that over on the left or above. So it's an interesting way of doing it. Like, I can't recall the last time I went on a website or saw a logo that was done well that had the mark over on the right like this. Do you know what I mean? Like, the mark would normally be on the left, especially if you're on a website. Search by photo on Google. Yeah, I think there are a few services. I think Adobe might even have one actually, where you can upload an image and it'll tell you what font it is. So I'm going to have to do that with this one because that is a really nice font. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I like it. This is an interesting style as well. It's a bit inconsistent. Like, it tapers off here, and then it's curved, but there's no curve here. It's like a hard cut. God, I am literally the consistency police, aren't I? As soon as there's like a slight, look at this inconsistency. Look at this. It doesn't line up. I'm just there. I see you. Yeah, so I feel like those sorts of details here as well, it does feel a bit sloppy around the edge, you know. I think that's the kind of thing we've got to tighten up a bit. In fact, you could even just get rid of the yellow, because then it kind of stands on its own as a logo. That, in fact, let's get rid of it. We're going to get rid of it. Color range, yellow. Be gone. There it is. Didn't even need the yellow. It just didn't need it. And I think the yellow was just, like I said, the execution was just not as tight as I would like to see anyway. Yeah, there's all sorts of things you could do with this, really. I mean, you could even put this here on the left because you've got quite a nice sort of angle here. Do you see what I mean? Because that L kind of is just in a little bit. This kind of angle of this part here actually works quite nicely. If I just flatten that down a sec. Yeah. I just love that. I just love that font. But yeah, I don't think it needs the yellow. I really don't. I think you could get the yellow in there and experiment with color. Like, actually, if you wanted the yellow in there, I would just fill the whole thing. I don't think you need this weird sort of whatever it is. I just don't think you need it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can take this and you could fill it. I think that looks pretty cool, right? Get his eye in there as well. Should we fill his eye? Does he have a yellow eye? No, it looks like he's cut out then. Let's fill his eye with black. There we go. Oh, we could even actually just pop in a bit of white. Actually, yeah, if we do that hardness all the way up, there we go. Let's try and pop in a bit of white. We could try and give him a bit of personality. Oh, there we go. He's got a little highlight in his eye. It just gives him a little bit more personality. You know, putting that highlight in the eyes. Oh, thank you for trying, Max. Max Art. We're gonna have to find that one out, I think. I hope it isn't hand drawn because yeah, I love it. It's very nice. Font is called Sophia. I'm pretty sure Sophia doesn't look like that, does it? Let me have a look. Because I know the font Sophia. I quite like it. Yeah. Oh, there's another Sophia. Oh, you legend. You absolute legend. Yeah, no, Adobe have got a font called Sophia that I've got. That's why when you said it, I was like, oh no, I know that font. That ain't Sophia. But it is. It's another one. Oh yeah, you bet we're downloading that. Yo, good job. James Cook. There you go, everybody. Thank you, James. Yeah, so just to summarize this one, I think, you know, this yellow doesn't need to be all fancy. You can have the eye styled however you like, but I think having something like this, it introduces a bit more character, a bit more, makes the bird feel like a real, you know, like a bit of a mascot almost. Whether you want that or not, or you want something symbolic, hey, two different approaches, entirely up to you. But yeah, just kind of, if you want the yellow, keep it solid. And I think there isn't really I don't know why you'd put this on the right. I can't really think of a reason why it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, it works just fine on the left. You've got the angle here, which is nice. You could stack it on top as well, and this logo still works. But yeah, that's it. And it's not a bad attempt at a wing as well. If you watch the stream from a couple months ago where I tried to draw a wing, my God, that took a long time. Oh, that was embarrassing. Jeez, it took me just so long just to draw a blooming wing, but I got there in the end. So this is the last one for today. Yes, this is the last one. I'm going to go and give my smiling face a rest, finish my coffee, which is probably cold now, and go and see my two kids. And right, this has been fun. Thank you very much, guys. There's probably going to be another stream Thursday, but if I can figure out this webinar thing, I might do that instead. Like, I thought about it more this morning. So yeah, I don't know if I can get it done in time for Thursday, because I've got to kind of think about what I'm going to teach and plan it out and stuff. And whenever I do it, I've never really done like a big Zoom thing before. So that will be definitely stepping out the comfort zone. So, but you know, I think it could be fun. But yeah, no, it will be. Oh, where's my font gone? Let's get that font in there. Yeah, it'd be good fun to do that, I think, at some point. And just looking at the poll as well, a lot of people seem to want that kind of introductory Illustrator stream. So yeah, I'll figure out the technical side and try and make something happen. But yeah, Thursday we'll be doing something. I'm just not entirely sure what it will be yet. In short, that's what I'm trying to say. Amazing, guys. Thank you so much for joining the stream today. A lot of fun, and I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will catch you in the next one.